So hello again, those on the Hack Golf website. It's Ron Sisson again, professional golf coach here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, with another post. And my topic today is, which is it? Option A or option B? I'll explain what I mean in a moment. Now right here I have two young gentlemen that I've met. This is Austin, I believe.
Hello.
And this is Jay.
Nice to meet you.
Jay is 21, Austin is 20. So these are the kind of golfers that we want to get playing the game of golf. So Austin's been playing for a couple years, and Jay, this is his first year. May get okay contact once in a while. Pretty inconsistent with direction though. So I want to help them understand how this whole golf thing works, and I want to ask them a question in terms of which option do they think it is that the greatest golfers in the world, like Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, how they ended up being able to make such pinpoint precise contact and have really good control and direction and consistency and accuracy, which is of course what every golfer wants. All right, so Austin and Jay, if I can get you guys to stand like right about here, I'm going to explain what happens when a golf club hits a ball. So the club starts off here, and by the time it makes its full course all the way around a person, it's about 35-40 feet. Now, relative to our straight target line, the club moves in a curving arc, not a straight line. You're actually trying to make a straight vertical Ferris wheel in your swing, it looks like, yes? That's kind of what your perception is?
I'm trying to do with my irons.
Yeah, with your irons you're trying to go straight back and straight through, and you're trying to go kind of in a Ferris wheel, right? Well, that's partly why you end up with that slice, because that's completely incorrect. A golf swing, if this is the target line, if it were a Ferris wheel circle, it would move in a straight line here. But because it's tilted, that means when the club starts whirling around in its arc, it is an arc. The words straight and golf swing should never ever be used in the same sentence. As soon as you begin swinging back from this straight line, the club will curve away from it and go up over your shoulder. Then as you create the momentum and speed of it, it will curve itself so that its arc will get to just the very outer apex of its arc, hopefully at that pinpoint moment of impact. Then immediately past impact, it will begin to curve this way. Now, Johnny Miller, who's a golf commentator on TV, he was a great golfer. He was deadly accurate with his iron shots. He thinks that he defied the laws of physics, and he got his club to get right on the line at contact, and his club stayed down the line longer than other players, and he thought that he kept the face square for an extended period of time. But let me ask you this question. If I have an object whirling through space in a curving arc relative to this straight line, will the laws of physics allow me to have it stop going in a curve, go straight for a while, and then go back to being at a curve in 100 miles an hour?
Never.
Never? Yeah, that's kind of what I think too. So the golf swing is a curve, and here's what's interesting about what happens with the face of the club. The face of the club starts off facing in the direction of the target, and then immediately as you swing back, the face turns open. You're instinctively attempting to keep your club face so that it always is facing the target. That's why your wrists kind of do this thing up here, because your brain is thinking that you have to try to keep your club face so it's always oriented facing the target. But the club face actually turns and faces to the right as you swing back. Then up here the wrists hinge, then the club trails behind. Where's the club face facing right now? If I hit the ball in this instance, where would it go? That away somewhere. So it's facing way to the right. Then as the hands slow down, the club head catches up and the face rotates very rapidly so that it's square, hopefully at the height of compression of impact. I'll explain that in a minute. Then it turns and closes and faces off to the left as you swing through. Okay? Now, a lot of people think that the club face needs to be square at impact. Yes, but at what part of impact? Because impact actually has three phases. There's the initial phase where the club head has just barely touched the outer surface of the ball. Then super high-speed photography has shown that what happens next is the ball crunches against the face and squishes like an egg. And then the ball unsquishes and separates from the face. So there's 3 phases: initial impact, compression, and then separation. That happens in 0.6 of an inch. And in that time, the club face at the start of impact is actually just a minute fraction of a degree open. And because it's in a constant state of rotation, it actually rotates to square at the height of compression. And then as the ball is leaving the face, the club face begins to turn and face off to the left. So even in that 0.6 of an inch, when the club and the ball are together, the club face is rotating. So Johnny Miller might have thought he kept his club face square, but high-speed photography has shown that this would be a defiance of the laws of physics, so I don't think that's going to happen. Okay? Now, so the club face is on a curving arc relative to our straight line. The face is sort of like those Western saloon doors. You know those old Western movies, they push open the doors and they go and start shooting people, right? So when they push the door open, then the door will kind of do this, back and forth until it finally ends up where?
In the middle.
Back in the middle, right? And that's what a club face does. It is square when you start and square for that briefest nanosecond of time at the height of compression and impact. Other than that, the club face never faces anywhere near the target. Now, depending upon who's at the end of the club, it's moving at between 60 miles per hour. If it's, this is with a driver. If it's a little old lady, she might be able to get that thing up to about 60 miles an hour. And then when you've got some of the long drive guys, they're at about 150 miles an hour. When you got tour pros like Rory and all the big long hitters, they're about 120 to 125 miles per hour. Average good golfers around 90 to 100 miles per hour. So there's tremendous velocity involved when this club is swinging around. Now, here's the other thing. If you want, you know those really nice ones? You know those ones where you just hit it and you just absolutely hit it right dead in the middle. Feels great, the ball just takes off and you know those ones?
Oh yeah.
Those are the ones that make you go, I think I could like this game. Well, you actually have to hit the ball on the exact dead center of the club face in order for that to occur. Now, you guys are human, right?
Yep.
So you may not have that happen with pinpoint precision every single time, and you may strike off center if you like, but I wouldn't recommend any further. Up here in Canada, we have the Canadian dollar coin. We call it the loonie. This is my fake shopping cart loonie, right? You must not strike any further away from the center of the club face than the thickness of a loonie. What are you talking about? The size of a loonie? Are you insane? The thickness of a loonie. For you Americans, take a nickel out of your pocket, look at it from the thin edge perspective, and that's the precision that's required. Okay. Now with modern equipment, especially with Adams golf clubs, you have a little more leeway. So if you strike off center, because of perimeter weighting and various things that they're doing with technology, you can get something that's not too bad. But if you want those really nice ones, you've got to hone it down to a 1/16 of an inch. Okay. Now, there's a teeny tiny fraction of a percentage of golfers in the world who can do this. Rory, Tiger, high-level amateur golfers, club and teaching pros like myself. When we swing, we can make this all work. Nice solid contact, pretty accurate ball flight. Geez, it looks pretty easy, doesn't it? So the question is, how did we end up, us really, really good golfers who can swing well and make solid contact, oh, I didn't that time though. How are we able to do this? How is it that we can swing the club and make pinpoint precise contact and relatively accurate ball flight? How did we figure out how to do it? There's 2 options. I'll give you 2 options. Here's option A. This is the option that the traditional golf instruction industry will tell you. Well, Tiger and Rory and all those guys who get really good, it's because they have a correct grip. Ben Hogan, who is a legendary golfer, he said, good golf begins with a good grip. So you have to have the exact, perfectly correct golf grip. Now, of course, we have to get the exact, perfect tilt of the spine, and we have to be exactly, precisely positioned the right distance from the ball. It may be silly to be too far away from it. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to swing well and make solid contact and hit it dead straight like I just did. A little bit of sarcasm there. So once we've got the setup right and the grip right and the stance right, and we've got everything right, now when they swing, they hit the ball well because their positions of their body at every part of the swing are in exact perfect position. So if all the parts are moving exactly correctly, this is what causes the club to swing with all those things that we talked about, with a very precise strike, directionally accurate, right? Now, if the shot is imprecisely struck or the ball goes offline, well then some part of the technique of the body's movements must have been the problem. Makes sense, doesn't it? So for example, if someone were to hit the ball and kind of catch it on the very bottom of the face, which I did like that one, or what I was trying to do actually was this, hit the ball right in its equator and goes screaming low, then people on television will say something like, oh, he came up and out of that one. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I think what they mean is it must have been that the spine angle was changing as they swung through, because you're tilted at a certain angle, right? So as you swing through, if your spine raises, then that's got to be the problem, right? Does that make sense? But the question I always ask when people say things like he must have lifted his head or the spine angle is changing is, I always wonder about this question. What's the measurement? So how many degrees of spine angle change was there? How much did the head lift? Now here's the thing, if it did lift, it would have been how much, do you think? Well, if we measure a golf ball from top to bottom, that's 3/4 of an inch. So it's just it's 1.5 inches from the top of the golf ball to the bottom. So if we strike inaccurately in the equator, that's a 3/4 of an inch change. So that would have meant that the head would have lifted 3/4 of an inch. And so is that too much? Here, you guys watch.
I think it was a bit much.
Is that a bit much? Try again. Whoops.
That's better.
Was that better?
I think that was better.
Oh, yeah. It's such a tiny fraction of change that I think it would be really hard to tell, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, the idea of this perception that the golf instruction industry currently has is that we need to try to turn human people into these biomechanical golfing machines where every part is moving with exact precision. And if all the parts move right, well then that's going to mean we're going to swing with all those things we have to do. So much unbelievable speed, curving arc, face rotating, you know, fractionally open at initial impact, square at compression, closing going past impact, right? Doesn't that make sense though?
It sounds plausible.
Sounds plausible. Except I've never had anybody tell me when I ask them, so do you suppose while your whole body's in motion and being pulled around by the forces of a swinging golf club, that you're going to be able to detect that your head is changing position by fractions of inches, that your spine is changing angle by fractions of a single degree? I've never had anybody tell me that they think they can do it.
Not without the right technology.
Interesting. So that's option A. Turn yourself into a biomechanical golfing machine and work on positions to make sure every part of you is exactly in the right place. That's option A. Now let me introduce you to option B. If you look into the history of all the great golfers, all the ones who go on to become the Rory McIlroys, the Tiger Woods, the Jack Nicklauses, all those guys. If you look into their golfing history, almost invariably they start as very young children. Rory was 18 months old when he started, so a year and a half. And by the time he was 2, imagine this little kid about that big, he was hitting 40-yard drives. So that's just about to the edge of that moat area there. So imagine this little thing, 2 years old, going. Right, and obviously I'm hitting it much farther because I'm big now. But he's 2 years old, and almost all of them start young. So here's what I believe is option B. I think this is what's really going on when these really good golfers become skilled. Their brain is thinking, because they're 2, oh, I got this stick here and I got this ball, why don't I try and whack this ball? Whoops. That's neat. They don't have any perception that that's bad or good. They're just having fun trying to whirl a stick around and trying to precisely strike a ball. What's going on inside, all subconscious, totally beyond their awareness, is their brain is thinking of a task. I have an implement here, a striking mallet. I have a ball. I guess I'll watch these other big people doing it. Okay, I got it. So you swing it up around over here, you whirl it back around, and you try and smack that ball. Gee, it didn't work that time. Over time, what happens is the brain And the neuromotor control systems eventually figure out how to precisely guide the path that this club head is swinging on so that they can make a pinpoint accurate strike. Over time, their hands and wrists and arms kind of figure out the orientation of the face to end up getting the club face to come around with precision and strike the ball dead straight like I did on that one. You can verify that?
Yeah.
Right? See, the people on the camera, they're not going to be able to see it because it's not one of those follow the ball kind of cameras. Okay? So I believe what's really happening is that good golfers, they instinctively figure out how to develop two critical skills that are what I call the real swing golf method. First skill, swing club head freely, fluidly, fast. So all the good golfers, because they're really little, they just figure out how to swing this free without any restricting tension, fluid with a smooth swing back, smooth swing forward. And because they want to hit it far, what do they do with the momentum of it and the speed of it? They go fast through the ball, right? And then while they're swinging like that, over time, their brain and body become sensitive to the weight of the club carving a circular arc through the air, and then they just instinctively figure out how to guide its path. Now, I didn't strike pinpoint precise on that one, a little off the toe, but when I was a little boy, 10 years old, that's what I was doing. Feeling the weight of this club, make an arc, and I looked at the ball, and then I just tried to pass it as precisely through the ball as I could. Now, later on, what these good players do is they may get the right grip. They'll go to a coach. The coach will say, get the right grip, get the right setup, get the right posture, let's get the ball position. But they had a foundation of club head skill on which to put all that, what I call technical icing. So, which do you suppose is more plausible? Option A, it's all about you and your body parts and technicalities and grip and setup and getting in all the exact right positions. And if all of these things are working exactly precisely, well, that should make the club swing free and fluid and fast. And the second skill, strike ball with swing club head with intense precision within about a 16th of an inch accurate. That should all magically happen if all the parts are moving in exactly the right way. Doesn't that make sense? Or does it make more sense that human beings who become skilled at hitting a golf ball start young and then develop two critical skills? They swing free, they swing fluid, they swing fast, and then they swing with pinpoint precision through the ball. And some of them don't even bother with golf lessons and technique, like say Jim Furyk. You ever seen him golf? You know who Jim Furyk is? Yeah, you guys probably don't watch golf. You're brand new to this. This is Jim Furyk. Now, I'm not kidding. This is one of the upper echelon players on the PGA Tour. He's got this bizarre swing where his arms go straight up, he loops the club around, and that's pretty much what happens every time he hits it. That's dead straight.
Yeah.
Maybe I should try to swing like Jim Furyk. You ever heard of Bubba Watson?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bubba's the guy who won the Masters a couple of times. He's this big, tall left-hander, started as a 6-year-old boy, and instinctively figured out how to swing a club through the air, make good contact. And Bubba is famous for hitting curve shots. He never sees a straight line shot. He always sees a target, and then the golfers, announcers on TV are just astounded because they can't understand. He's aiming in the trees over here. Oh, what's he doing? And then Bubba does these weird swings. His feet are slipping all over, his arms are flailing, and the ball goes thunk right on target. And then he'll aim the other way and hit one of these big arcing curve things around the other way. So, which option do you think it is? Option A, grip, setup, posture, and then hone your swing so all the parts of your body are moving precisely within a 16th of an inch tolerance. Or option B, swing club head, free fluid fast. Try to guide swinging club head through ball with 16th of an inch precision. So which do you suppose it is?
Say B. He sounds more likely.
B sounds a lot more likely, doesn't it?
It does.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Feel free to hit some golf balls. I'm just going to do a little wrap up here. So as you can see, hack golfers, when we talk to brand new golfers who are trying to figure this out and explain what's really going on almost invariably they're going to choose option B. The striking of a golf ball is now and always has been nothing more than natural human hand-eye coordination skill. And it's not that difficult, and anybody can figure it out. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a golf lesson with young Austin here and young Jay over here in the next couple of days, and I'm going to show you what their swing is like now versus what it will become once I teach them these skills that we've just talked about. So what do you think it is? Option A, all mechanical, or option B, human skill with swinging a club and then learning how to precisely strike a ball? See you next time.